Be veg, go green to save the planet.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
What is the good of holy company? Why does a man have sinful tendencies? Please watch on to find out answers from Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa, vegetarian.
Subha Davaska is the friendly wish to have a good day in Sinhalese, one of the languages spoken in Sri Lanka. My name is Aviraj. The sincere people of Sri Lanka pray that Buddha's honor and virtue may always be your guide. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa was born in 1836 to a devout family in rural Bengal. As a young man, Ramakrishna was interested in pursuing God consciousness above all other studies. He joined his elder brother, who was then head priest at Dakshineswar Kali Temple, a holy site that is still active today. When his brother passed away, Ramakrishna was appointed as the temple's priest. Continuing his own spiritual practice, he studied with some of the accomplished practitioners who visited the temple. When he met with Totapuri Maharaj, a Naga monk of the Dasami order of Adi Sankara, Sri Ramakrishna experienced a complete awakening of God consciousness. As he became more well known, people of all social backgrounds visited Sri Ramakrishna at the Dakshineswar temple. In his teachings, Sri Ramakrishna emphasized the unity of all religions in leading to the ultimate goal of knowing God. Many of his lectures were recorded and later published as a book by one of his prominent disciples, Mahendranath Gupta. This 5-volume Bengali classic was translated into English as The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Its pages are filled with spiritual wisdom that is imparted in parables, clear explanations, and caring dialogues with disciples. We now present to you an excerpt from Chapter 2, In the Company of Devotees. In the Company of Devotees, Sunday, April 9, 1882. Sri Ramakrishna was seated with his devotees in the drawing room of Pran Krishna Mukherjee's house in Calcutta. It was between 1 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Since Colonel Biswanath lived in that neighborhood, the master intended to visit him before going to see Kesab at the Lily Cottage. A number of neighbors and other friends of Pran Krishna had been invited to meet Sri Ramakrishna. They were all eager to hear his words. Master: God and His glory. This universe is His glory. People see His glory and forget everything. They do not seek God, whose glory is this world. All seek to enjoy woman and gold. But there is too much misery and worry in that. This world is like the whirlpool of the Visalakshi. Once a boat gets into it, there is no hope of its rescue. Again, the world is like a thorny bush. You have hardly freed yourself from one set of thorns before you find yourself entangled in another. Once you enter a labyrinth, you find it very difficult to get out. Living in the world, a man becomes seared as it were. A devotee: then what is the way, sir? Master: prayer and the company of holy men. You cannot get rid of an ailment without the help of a physician. But it is not enough to be in the company of religious people only for a day. You should constantly seek it, for the disease has become chronic. Again, you can't understand the pulse rightly unless you live with a physician. Moving with him constantly, you learn to distinguish between the pulse of phlegm and the pulse of bile. Devotee: what is the good of holy company? Master: It begets yearning for God. It begets love of God. Nothing whatsoever is achieved in spiritual life without yearning. By constant living in the company of holy men, the soul becomes restless for God. This yearning is like the state of mind of a man who has someone ill in the family. His mind is in a state of perpetual restlessness, thinking how the sick person may be cured. Or again, one should feel a yearning for God like the yearning of a man who has lost his job and is wandering from one office to another in search of work. If he is rejected at a certain place which has no vacancy, he goes there again the next day and inquires, "Is there a vacancy today?" There is another way, earnestly praying to God. God is our very own. We should say to Him, "O God, what is Thy nature? Reveal Thyself to me. Thou must show Thyself to me. For why else hast Thou created me?" Some sick devotees once said to me, "God is full of compassion." I said, "But why should we call Him compassionate? He is our Creator. What is there to be wondered at if He is kind to us? Parents bring up their children. Do you call that an act of kindness? They must act that way. Therefore, we should force our demands on God. He is our father and mother, isn't He? If the son demands his patrimony and gives up food and drink in order to enforce his demand, then the parents hand his share over to him 3 years before the legal time. Or when the child demands some pies from his mother and says over and over again, "Mother, give me a couple of pies. I beg you on my knees." Then the mother, seeing his earnestness and unable to bear it anymore, tosses the money to him. There is another benefit from holy company. It helps one cultivate discrimination between the real and the unreal. God alone is the real, that is to say, the eternal substance, and the world is unreal, that is to say, transitory. As soon as a man finds his mind wandering away to the unreal, he should apply discrimination. Explanation of evil. A neighbor, why does a man have sinful tendencies? Master, in God's creation there are all sorts of things. He has created bad men as well as good men. It is He who gives us good tendencies, and it is He again who gives us evil tendencies. Neighbor, in that case we aren't responsible for our sinful actions, are we? Master, sin begets its own result. This is God's law. Won't you burn your tongue if you chew a chili? In his youth, Mathur led a rather fast life, so he suffered from various diseases before his death. Peace-loving viewers, it has been a pleasure to have you with us today on Words of Wisdom. Please join us again tomorrow for part 2 of this program. Coming up next is Amazing Wildlife Documentaries by Kim Woolhutter, part 2 of 2, right after noteworthy news. May your inward seeking of God consciousness be fulfilled in heavenly upliftment and bliss.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule et suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule y suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Τα προγράμματά μας προσφέρονται σε πολλές γλώσσες. Παρακαλούμε δείτε suprememastertv.com/schedule και suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Heaven is watching. Stop worrying.